folks. It's another episode of the Snowy's Camping Show, and you are here with Lauren and Ben. Hi, Ben.
How you going?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How's your weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty good, actually. Yeah, doing a lot of stuff that I didn't plan to do, but it ended up being awesome anyway.
Nice.
So.
I think we're at the time it is in Adelaide here. We're just heading into winter, so there's that taste of cool evenings and mornings.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Counting down summer now.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
What are we rambling on about today?
We are talking about gear you don't need camping. It was very requested topic, wasn't it? Heaps of people were like, hey, talk to us about gear that you don't need camping. So it's probably one that will get a bit of the passions flowing, and we may, I don't know. I was like, oh, am I going to cause offense by going, oh my God, you guys don't need that? And someone out there is like, oh my God, I love that. So
yeah, it's a bit subjective, isn't it?
It is.
We're hoping it's going to get people talking. There's certainly some things that you just go, just don't take it camping. It's obvious. But there's other things that, as I found out, we'll discuss shortly. I brought it up thinking everyone would go, yeah, don't worry about them. And I got shut down pretty quickly.
You sure did. And that was fairy lights.
Fairy lights, which we've, if you're watching on videos, we've got just to rub it in. Our producer's gone and stuck it on the table in front of me here to go, people take these camping. I see them and I have a good laugh and think, why do people take fairy lights? I've got strip lights and head torches. Fairy lights, I've gone, that seems ridiculous.
Fairy lights.
Just about everyone in the office turned around and said, no, they're great, including you.
Yeah,
so
you're wrong.
Over
fairy
to
lights.
you then.
That's right. Well, I just think they're actually amazing. We sort of, I guess when people think about fairy lights, maybe they're thinking about, the ones people put up at Christmas and they're like 30 meters long and thick and chunky. But I've got these little ones that are like on a thin copper wire and they're like a little dob of glass with a little LED globe in them, and they're super, super compact. They're like smaller than your average dude's wallet when you sort of wrap them up.
Dude's wallet. And
they're bendy because they're on copper wire. They either take AA batteries or AAA batteries. I haven't come across any that are rechargeable yet of these specific ones. And yeah, they're just so versatile. Often if we're camping in the bush, I think I was telling you before we started recording, if we go camping in the bush and it's the middle of winter and the kids are sort of spread out and they at their age where they want their tent a bit further away, and the first thing they do is grab a stick and then wrap these copper fairy lights around the stick and shove it at their doorway, and that's like marks the entrance of their tent, and it's on at nighttime and they can find their way there easily. And they're also really handy. You can just stuff them in jars if you want like a nice ambient glow, or you can have them like wrapped around your tent poles, and they're just so good. I don't know, stop laughing at me here, but I love them. They're not, they're nice and light and gentle, and yeah, they're just lovely to have at a nighttime where, you might want to have a LED camping light strip that you bought and then you're upgrading it so that it does orange or yellow light because you don't want bright blue light, and then next thing you know, but just
and
buy,
these are cheap, right?
Just buy some cheap copper fairy lights, mate. Just
I can
do
see,
it.
there's one thing that's come to mind there, and I can see myself running around like a caveman. You said the stick. What if I wrapped on the end of the stick and used it like the old time torches with the flame on the end? Maybe I can use that and feel get a bit more down to earth.
Yeah, do it.
I don't know. So maybe you've sold it to me, but they run a long time, don't they? I mean, how long? These guys in front of us here, it looks like there's 2 or 3 AA batteries in the pack there. Does that?
I reckon 18 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
long? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like literally I would probably put batteries in them once or twice every 2 years.
Okay.
And I've got heaps and heaps of them, like 5 meter strands, 1 meter strands, whatever. And they're super cheap and they're handy. They're just like you've got to have them, just
I'll
do
go
it.
Get some.
Yes.
I've got 2 girls who like fairies and that sort of thing, so maybe I should just embrace that. So.
Totally, you should.
All right, okay, I'll try the fairy lights. I'm going to admit defeat there. I think I'm the only one in the office, but never mind. We'll try it.
We'll convert, yeah.
What else can we go to? What's next? We've got a bit of a list here.
Yeah, well, because we put a shout out, didn't we? Because
we
were
around
like
the office
around the
and,
office and Snowies and whatever and things. What have you seen people take camping and that you think is totally unnecessary, or what are your thoughts on that? And
I mean, this kind of goes back to my scout days where kids would rock up with their dilly bag with their cups and bowls and stuff, and it'd be the crockery from the kitchen, right? So heavy stuff that's just going to bust. Or break at the first sign of being dropped.
You're talking actual porcelain stuff.
Porcelain, china, or probably, I don't know about china, but like it's breakable, right? Yeah. And I have seen people take it maybe more in a caravan based thing or even in a like a camper trailer, but even that, if you're forward driving, it's going to break. I guess if you just go into a caravan park, it's probably all right. It's quite heavy.
It is heavy, isn't it?
And it's not expensive just to get some basic polypropylene or plastic
stuff,
plates and stuff that don't break. So I've seen that around. Anything breakable, really.
Another thing that I am probably going to ruffle some feathers over, so apologies in advance, don't hate me, and it is controversial, I think, amongst the wider camping community. It's generators.
Yeah.
Like, don't take them. I'm sorry, but no. Like, it's 2021. The age of solar power, portable power batteries, all of that sort of stuff is so advanced now. And I do understand that there is an accessibility level there in terms of cost and things like that. But there are also a lot of places that ban generators, so you can't actually camp there if you do run a generator. So, yeah. Folks.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I think it is going to ruffle some feathers. Apologies. But I think you can get pretty quiet ones nowadays. I don't know much about generators. I've never looked at them. I figure it's a fairly heavy thing to take. It's going to give me power, but I also need to take fuel for it, so it's extra fuel to take. Whereas solar, for me, is a thin panel. Compared to a generator, it's a thin thing that can be packed into your car.
Yeah.
And you don't need fuel. You can use the sun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Generators
even if you're in the middle of nowhere, it's also sort of not just the noise for you, but the local wildlife and environment around you as well. So
I mean, you hear them at building sites, right? They use them to run all their drills and charge their batteries and stuff, and that's noisy.
Yeah,
we don't want that camping.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When I grew up, the generator was what was used camping, and it was back before portable fridges and things like that. And my nana and pa used to actually put the chest freezer from the shed on the back of their ute and cart that with a generator. So yes, back in the day, 100%. But I think these days it's not. It's things have moved on.
Yeah. Next one. Gazebo. I think we're going to ruffle feathers here as well. Gazebo. I see a gazebo as a really heavy, bulky thing that doesn't really handle wind very well. Gives good shade, I suppose, but I feel like there's other ways you can create that with just a tarp. Maybe take some extra poles and some guy ropes and create shelter that way.
100% agree with you. I think that they're probably, I know we'll probably ruffle some feathers because I would say they're one of our most top selling items. Like people love gazebos and they want them. And I think they're really commonly bought by people who do markets or go to dog shows or things like that. So not just camping, but I think from a camping perspective, you don't need them. They're heavy, they're bulky, they're not as convenient as they would seem to be.
If they break or bend, they're really hard to fold up, and then you're stuck with this kind of mangled mess of
exactly.
That's not for me.
So not for me either. But each to their own. I think like you say, you can get tarps. I think some like Super Peg, I don't know if they're still doing them, but they used to do a tarp kit maybe where they would give you all the spreader poles and the awning poles and guy ropes that you need to set up a tarp like a gazebo.
Which is pretty heavy in its own.
That's true.
Still, but it gives you a bit more versatility. But in reality, all you need is I want to get myself a tarp with a sail track in it. I put a sail track on my roof rack and I can just create an awning on the side with a couple of poles. And
that's actually really good
portion
idea.
Of the weight. Easy to pack up. If it's going to get really windy, it's easy to pull it down. And there's not this massive structure of metal that's going to take off and end up on someone else's tent during the night if it blows away. But
that has happened before. People calling up to be like, my actual tent is a pancake now because the gazebo flew over it.
And you start strapping them together and suddenly you've got this bigger parachute because that is a parachute, right?
It is, right.
The wind gets under them.
Absolutely.
The pegs in the ground aren't going to hold it there.
You don't need a gazebo. There's so many other options.
Absolutely.
And
what's next?
Portable washing machines for me.
Yeah. You can run some off 12 volt, right? But they're big and bulky. I guess for a caravan or long-term travelers, they're going to like it. But
I think
camping,
definitely caravanners or people who are permanently on the road, I think possibly might want to invest in one, even the manual ones that, are like a turning compost machine or whatever. And you have, but no, I wouldn't have one even, for a week or two trip long. I wouldn't. I actually have a scrubber wash bag. I don't know if you have one of those. No, they're amazing.
But I've just used a dry bag for the same thing. Just chuck it in there with some, just a sealed roll top dry bag, chuck your clothes in there with some wash powder and just shake it around and rub the clothes and stuff. And that does the job.
The thing I like about the scrubber is it's got little dimple indentation things on it. So it really, I don't know what the word is.
Agitates.
Agitates. It scrubs. I don't know really well. But it's big enough for, like my fella's quite a large dude, wears XXL t-shirt, so it's big enough for one of his
I
t-shirts.
think you've used dude twice in this episode
fella.
so far.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, he's got puts one of his t-shirts in, a couple of this kids' small t-shirts, jocks, whatever. Yep. Just it's awesome.
Yeah,
100% recommend, and it folds up.
It's tiny,
really small,
put in your pocket,
bigger than a dude's wallet.
That's three. That's the trio.
But no, it's quite small and it packs away really well, and I like that. So definitely an awesome option if you're considering a washing machine to have a look at the scrubber wash bag first, I reckon.
Awesome. Now the next one we've got down, I reckon it's our someone in the office who doesn't camp as often said this, and he said a sleeping bag in summer. And I thought that was a bit strange because I kind of went, well, wouldn't you just take a summer weight sleeping bag? Mm-hmm. So I guess maybe what he was meaning is just consider like if you've got a big bulky minus 12 degree sleeping bag, you can save a fair bit of weight by not taking one or two of them when you're summer camping. You can get,
or if you're someone like you who does majority of their camping in the warmer months, buying a big bulky sleeping bag is not something that you actually need. It's more about considering if you are going to buy something like a sleeping bag, what the average usage is going to be and the best one for you. Yeah. I mean, with our sleeping bags, we've also got like a polar fleece liner. Yep. And that polar fleece liner is the summer bag essentially. And that definitely more than enough does the trick, which is good. So,
we take a swags set up with like a doona and a sheet in there. The doona always comes with us, but in summer we just don't use the doona, but it's still more compact than taking a whole nother double sort of sided sleeping bag. So,
absolutely.
The next one is a big bugbear of mine.
Is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, hang on. You're going to tell me you don't want it.
No, I'm scared.
Did you read the list?
No, I haven't.
And I think we're going to, some people are going to go, you've got to take chainsaws.
Oh my God, chainsaw. Oh no, that's okay. I was scared because I was just like, oh my God, you're going to say something, which I'm like, no. Take it, God damn it.
It's chainsaw, right?
Okay.
And for many reasons. Noise, again, like I'm never in a rush when I'm camping. And if on the odd chance I do need to chop up a bit of timber, which is almost never because I don't like to pull nature apart.
And you're not really a fire person.
I'm not, not all the time. And if I am, I've taken my own timber. But it's noisy and it's just destructive. And I don't understand the need for a chainsaw. But they're really common. People, it seems to be that camper trailers and stuff have got a spot for the chainsaw and the fuel. I still don't understand the need for that, and maybe I'm going to lose a lot of friends saying this. But I don't even own a chainsaw.
But I thought you were going to say I don't even have any friends.
I know. Well, that it might be true as well.
No, I'm sure you have lots of friends. I just wasn't sure where you were going with on that. But I mean, we don't take a chainsaw camping, but we do take essentially the closest thing to it. That's a manual version, which is like a silky saw.
Silky saw?
Yeah, it's called a silky saw. It's like a Japanese saw and it's got like a really long curved blade and it folds in half. So it's probably, no bigger than say when you pack a fishing rod down in a case, for example, like it's less than a meter tall, whatever, flips out. And we find that really handy for when we do go camping and places if we're like on friends' properties or we go somewhere where we can get our own wood. Okay. It will literally saw through like a log with, my partner behind it, not with me behind it with my little T-Rex arms, but like it'll saw through a log in literally minutes.
Well, that sounds like a better option. I'm kind of thinking as we talk here, and I guess the only instance I could think a chainsaw might be useful is if you're remote forward driving and there's a tree across the track or something and you need to clear it. I mean, I guess you could use your vehicle to pull it out the way, but but a chainsaw seems like a very bulky technical thing to take in the instance that you might come across a tree on the track. So maybe your option's a better solution there. So chainsaws.
I think it does. I think people, the primary reason why people would have a chainsaw is if they are doing that super remote camping or they are out on a station and collecting wood for fire and things like that is something that you're allowed to do. Yeah. Then of course it's really handy because, instead of dragging wood from all over the place, you could just find one bit of tree and that can see you right for a week or whatever. I don't know, but
I guess so. Maybe just a considered addition of a chainsaw to your kit.
I'm not 100% sure about the actual chainsaw, but I would definitely
a saw of some sort.
We always will have the silky saw with us pretty much.
I'm going to look them up. I've never seen them. Silky Seal. Sounds cool.
Yeah, you can get them in 2 different sizes as well. Yeah.
All right. I'll have a look.
And another one which sort of came up for me recently in a camping group, like another general chat camping group thing, is a DVD player and also following on from that, a projector. Yeah. And this person was like banging on about how much they loved it and absolutely raved about it because they did a lot of caravan park camping and they had a couple of kids, and so they would take this big white sheet that they would hang up and they would set up and have this like big movie night, and all the caravan park kids would like flock to their camp and their kids loved it, and it just allowed the parents to chill out and, you know, have their night and not worry about where their kids were in the dark and things like that. And I was like, cool, but totally not for me. Like I wouldn't take a DVD player or a TV or any sort of that type of thing when I'm away. When we're away, it's like natured kids.
I'm the same. My kids always ask for TV when they're at home. It's like, well, there's other stuff you can do. I don't say no TV, but not in the drop of a hat all the time just because they're bored. But and maybe my minimalist approach means TV's not even on the radar or DVD player or projector or anything, because TV's on our list here as well. But I have been away with people who have said, oh, we'll just put a movie on in the caravan and the kids were sitting there and watch it. And that was, I'm not sure. I think they enjoyed it, so I'm not against it. Yeah. But I don't think that would mean it would find its way into my camp kit. Yeah,
I know what you mean. And I think like I can definitely understand the application of that to a certain respect. And I think sort of set and setting as well. It's like when we go away camping, it's not a time for TVs. It's not like, you know, even if the kids are driving me crazy, it's like, no, you're going to sit down next to the fire and we're going to, you know, chill out as a family, and we're going to try and de-stress and
tune out for a bit
and just try and get into the space that we're in and whatever. And I think that's what's important to me and the kind of camping that we do.
You can have TV at home, right? We didn't come away to get more
That's
TV,
right. But then again, that's not at all to knock people who do use DVDs and TVs for their kids. That's 100% fine. It's just like you say, it's just not for me. So I would say it's not something that you actually need.
I feel like we're saying all these things with these caveats going, but please don't not like us for saying this. It's just our opinion, but everyone's going to have different
recently we did a really long road trip, and I'm not, again, totally cool for other people, but we're not an iPad family. Me and my partner have phones, but that's it. And then on this long drive, I was just like, we were going up for 8 hours, and we sort of were doing it in one stretch and obviously stopping for breaks, but we weren't staying overnight anywhere. Yep. And it just got to a point where 2 of our kids have e-readers. So they're just churning through their books and the other 2 don't. And they're starting to really sort of get to a point in the trip where I was like,
you got to pull out all the stops.
We're going to turn around and go home right now. And so I was like, right, here, just play some games on my phone. But then when we actually got to camping over the first day or 2, it was like, oh, can I just go and sit in the car? And so I sort of feel like I'd opened the door to that. Yeah. So for me, it's not an option.
Yeah, okay.
Because therefore I think there's, I don't know.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right, move on. I think we might lose some friends on this one too. And maybe because I haven't tried it, and I think I think this is another one where I've gone, why would you do that? And you've gone, well, no, well, I do it.
Yeah.
The power drill and tools, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's these hex pegs, right? You screw into, they're built for a power drill.
Yeah.
And I think, now I'm going to take my power drill camping to put these pegs in the ground. Not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never tried it, and you said, but
pretty much every single time we go away, I'm like, there's a crate in the back of the van full of Makita tools, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, we're not, and every single time it's used. I don't even know why, I don't even know how, but I feel like every single trip I'm like, wow, thank God you brought your power tools, babe. Like, I can't even explain it. But I think a lot of our setup is actually we've sort of made it and designed it and built it ourselves. And we don't have a gazebo or an awning or something. We just have this big a truck canvas that we've bought, and we've actually designed the frame so that it's super compact, and we put it up and it's huge and it's awesome. But I think that it's sort of been maybe 2 years of evolving and changing the structure a little bit, trying to get it exactly right. And so often I think we'd go away for a week, and part of that week would be
making modifications.
My partner liking to tinker with it and making modifications and doing bits and pieces like that. So, and also actually one time we were away camping. I'm going to digress here and tell this awesome story about one of my best mates, Danny. He and my partner, I was complaining one morning that, you know, the cutlery just was everywhere, and why can't I have a nice cutlery holder? And so they just literally went off into the bush and came back with this beautiful old like gnarled knob of wood that they'd found that had like a natural hollow in it, and they'd like managed to cut it off, and with their power tools found this other piece of wood, and they'd shaped this little disc and popped it into the bottom of the hollow. So now I have this amazingly beautiful like wooden cutlery holder that they just built in the bush with all of their power tools that I have forever, which is, you know, you're probably like, oh my God, but it's
it sounds cool.
It's very cool. I'll have to bring it in and show you because I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
but
it sounds good.
Yeah.
I still don't have a need for a drill in my kit, but that's my minimalist thing, you know.
Yeah, true.
As I keep bagging on about.
Yeah.
Next one, it kind of goes hand in hand with the next two, but nice clothes and mirror like fashion stuff. Now, my oldest daughter will argue this because neither my wife or I are fashionistas. Somewhere along the line, there's obviously some fashion-based genes because she is, my oldest daughter is just next level fashion, all the glitzy, shiny stuff. And we're a little bit lost. I ask her what I should wear or if it matches and trust her opinion. So, I mean,
I'm a couple of years ahead of you in that scheme with my girl, so you're in for a ride.
Oh, really? Okay, I can't wait. I mean, I take shorts and a singlet or a few T-shirts and I kind of wear the same thing over and over, and I don't really give a hoot how I look, or I don't give a hoot what people think of me most of the time, what I wear. But some people seem to go fairly well dressed up. So I think just leave your good clothes at home.
Leave them at home. I think it's also probably down to the kind of camping that we do, like the concept of wearing something that means something to you is a bit weird.
That's a good point.
Like when we very first started doing the podcast, our producer Emily was like, just wear what you wear camping. I was like, oh, you don't want me to wear what I wear camping. Not to be on camera.
You have to rub some salt and dirt into my hair if you want.
Absolutely. So it's not, nice clothes. And people call all the time. People actually call us up all the time and say, do you sell any mirrors for camping? For me, a mirror is not something that you need when you go camping. I think for my own well-being to not actually see a reflection of myself when I'm a couple of days in. I know, but you made a really good point of the fact that your car has wing mirrors, and so you know, if you really actually do need them. And someone else in the office pointed out that if you wear glasses or you wear contact lenses, that having a mirror to be able to do things like that is really helpful. Totally appreciate that, but whether or not you need to take a whole mirror for that, I don't know.
I think we're probably from a different camp differently though. I think you nailed it on the head, because I've got another group that we went camping with sometimes and went away with them. We're in the tent and their camping was staying in a cabin. So to them it was a different style of camping and they, we're in a town and there's coffee shops and restaurants and stuff around, so they would take nicer clothes. Yeah. So we're probably being a bit critical maybe in saying don't take good clothes camping, because it depends on what type of camping you do, I suppose. But we don't want to be campist either. I think is campist? Is that the word? No, that's it's not. Like I did say this morning, I don't know about this episode because I don't want to make people feel sad if I'm like, oh my God, don't take a mirror, don't take nice clothes. Yeah. It's just stuff that people have asked, gear that we don't need or we think is unnecessary. So this is literally just our opinion. So if you're sitting on the other side of this and listening to it and be like, oh my God, my camping life, please don't. Just take what you want.
Take what you want if you can fit it in.
We also, funny, starting this episode, we thought, this will be over really quickly. I think we're up to well over 20 minutes now talking about a few things not to take camping. But the next one on the list, I think I said this jokingly and it's made it to the list, and that's your cat.
And I know camping. You said that jokingly, but there has been a time where somebody found a cat when we were away camping once, that a person had brought and it had managed to escape from their camp. It had a collar and everything, and it had like a lead attached to it. And it was like literally 2 whole days before we found out it was like in this big bush national park thing. We found out who it belonged to. It was like a small little kitten. So maybe, they genuinely thought that they could bring it, and because it was a baby, it couldn't be left and they didn't have anyone else to look after it or whatever. But I just, when you said your cat as a joke, I was like, but it's happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's not good for wildlife and stuff if cats escape and they become feral and becomes a big issue, doesn't it? But people take dogs camping.
People do take dogs.
To a campsite that allowed dogs.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I don't think we've got much more to add on that one, but what have we... I'm looking at the last one. We've got a list opposite here that we're trying to read.
We do. Well, I think the last thing we've got on the list is probably a little bit obvious, but like gear you don't need for camping is gear that you're not willing to take home with you. So if there's anything you're putting in your car that you're literally not willing to bring it home with you, just don't take it.
Yep. That includes thinking about your rubbish and stuff too.
Yep, absolutely.
If you're thinking I'm going to dump this somewhere, maybe have a think before you take it. Can I actually put this in recycling before I go away?
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, there might not be those facilities available where you go, and it might just end up in landfill. So
yeah. And I think there's been times where I've rocked up to a camp and there's been literally broken camping stuff there that people have just left there. So take it, look up if it, the gear that you do need is stuff that you're actually going to invest in and look after it, and not just leave it there trashed. But I think ultimately we've been as opinionative as we can for the last almost half an hour. So
we've gone on, and our producers in our ears going, you got to wrap this up. You've gone on too long. So let's we want your opinion of what I've got nothing else to add, and I won't anyway because I'll get in trouble. But what do you guys, what have you seen in the campsite that you go, why would you take that camping? Or are we completely wrong with anything we've said here today? Let us know.
Absolutely. And what is a luxury item that you can't live without? That's what I want to know. Like, is there something that other people are like, what? Change our minds. Let us know.
Absolutely.
Cool. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, our Snowies Camping Show group. Get in on the conversation there. Also, show notes. I don't know if we're going to make notes of anything. I don't know.
Probably not much to add there.
But And also, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast so you don't miss another episode. Otherwise,
check out snowies.com.au for all the camping you do need. Camping gear you do need.
See you next time.
See you guys.